I'd like to talk about my process a little bit. This painting embodies it all in just one work. So I think that what I would start with is just my evolution from being more of a gestural painter to gradually, over years, becoming more of a geometric painter. And I think the geometry is pretty obvious, but the gesture, I feel like, is still in the work. It's suppressed in a certain way. Suppressed is not the right word, or sublimated maybe is better, where there's a sense of movement, there's a sense of change in the work, there's a sense of my hand and arm and body in the work. There's a physicality to the way these are made that I hope comes through in the perception or the reception of the work. You know, typically geometry is in the realm of mathematics, and it puts one in the mind of precision and exactitude. And in my case, I deliberately avoid any kind of perfection in that sense. I like asymmetrical, idiosyncratic compositions that don't subscribe to that kind of perfection. I really want to, again, have that sense of movement in the work where if something's perfect or completely resolved, to me there's a static aspect to it, and I really work hard to avoid that. So I've gradually become more geometric, more about harmony and balance in a way that is, on the one hand, very conscious, you know, in the beginning stages in terms of the creation of the composition, but then once the paint starts going on and the color relationships start to interact with each other, then, you know, improvising and making a lot of adjustments, a lot of changes to the work, primarily just to the paint color and the paint, the way the paint goes down, not so much to the shapes, but occasionally I do. So in this painting, there's adjustments to some of these shapes that are more or less obvious, where I had to extend the shapes up. I had to create some little gaps between the shapes. I have a structure in place, but I'm putting down the colors, sometimes many layers. I'm creating these striations through the movement and of a squeegee or a tool that kind of drags the paint in a very specific way. It creates a very smooth sense of movement that is there but not there, depending on how you want to read it. So I tend to use verticals and horizontals to imply movement across or movement up and down. I'm very in love with color, very in love with putting colors together. An interesting thing about color is how hard it is to actually be analytical about it, and because it is subjective. So at some point, I just get intuitive nudges to use certain colors, use certain combinations. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. I revise, not often, but I will sand down some areas and start over if it's not working, but a lot of times I'm just building up the surface and mixing colors. I don't like flat, opaque color. I like a sense of transparency. I like a sense of light coming through. I like intermingling different colors into a kind of weave. I like complexity, but I also like a tension between that and simplicity. So to me, there's a lot of polarities in the work that, for me, create a kind of tension that makes the work interesting and unpredictable, because I am, at some point, you know, whatever my plan is, it becomes, me responding to what's actually happening on the canvas. And so I can't always predict the way the paint's going to go down. That's always a bit of a surprise.